What we do here is go back.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of the Lost Media Podcast. Today we're looking at 11 Somerset, the Lost TV show and Lost Flash game. Most of the TV show is completely lost and the Flash game is completely lost. This was requested by Orsomi Hill. Guys, remember, if you're requesting something, please request it only once. I read your comments, I can see it. If you request it more than once or even more than twice, then I'm probably less inclined to do it. With that being said, let's take a look at this one. It's an interesting one. The Flash game is more interesting than the TV show in my eyes. The TV show is, in my opinion, completely lost. There's a forum on the internet, one forum, that talks about this and explains what the Flash game was all about in very small detail, and also explains that the show has 3 episodes out of the 13 found, but they're in French, not English. I couldn't even find those 3 episodes when I looked on YouTube. The show, as far as I'm concerned, is completely lost. I think they were taken down since that post, those 3 episodes. And I think it's just a case of copyright infringement every time someone's uploaded this show. Or it's a case of it's completely forgotten. I looked at the IMDb for the show 11 Somerset and looked like I was just trying to remember it because I was. That's how forgotten it is. 15 reviews on IMDb. So this thing is an extremely obscure kids show, and it's interesting because it's an actual budget and it's a real show, and it's about 2 kids that uncover horror mysteries in their town. So it's a pretty cool kind of Goosebumps style show, except it's the same cast members for each show, and each episode they've got to uncover a new sort of horror mystery to do with their town. You can correct me in the comments, Orsomi Hill, if that's not entirely accurate. There's also a guest cast that are friends of the friends that come in. Only the intro that was just playing before behind me still exists for the TV show. That's on YouTube. And there's also a play-by-play of the Flash game from many years ago that was uploaded, posted by one person, and one video of it exists. This is completely forgotten. The Flash game was quite similar to the TV show, and it had a lot of atmosphere from what was written in this one post about it. And basically, same thing, you uncover horror mysteries and you go through different levels, and there's the occasional jump scare and a lot of atmosphere. And for people who grew up playing this game, not many people, by the way, this was, a really cool sort of scary thing to do late at night, this point-and-click adventure Flash game. The death of Flash in 2018 killed this and completely buried it. Fun fact, this Flash game was on a website called Forgotten, or it was called Unfindable. I can't remember what it was called, but it was to do with, the name of the website was a way of describing something that's lost already, but it wasn't lost at the time, and then that website went down and it became lost. So it feels like everything to do with this is just lost. Everything to do with this is lost and obscure, and it's even tougher when no one wants to find it and no one remembers it. And I feel the pain of people who are wanting to, uncover this Flash game and find it. The person who suggested this in the comments, Orsomi Hilly, sorry if I butchered your account name, they have written in different comments and different videos that people would have had to properly save the Flash game file and mirror it and, completely replicate it for another website domain if this thing were to still survive. And given how little known this was, it's kind of screwed. I hate saying that, but it's genuinely screwed. Not many people are looking for this. Not many people want to find it. Like I said, I don't know if I already said this. I feel the pain of this. I've been looking for a television show that aired in 2006 in Australia that is so forgotten and so little known, and episodes of that are near impossible to come by, and nobody wants to find it. So I get this serious awfulness of trying to find this, the pain of trying to find a show that no one cares about and a flash game that no one gives a stuff about. I think the person that suggested this wants to find the flash game a lot more than they want to find the TV show. Despite the TV show being completely lost at this point, I think it's understandable that that would be very, very hard to find. But the flash game as well is just as hard to find. What's playing behind me is a play-by-play run through of the flash game. I'm going to include that video in the description. It's very straightforward and very basic, this lost media. It's obscure. No one wants to find it except for a handful of people. It's based on a TV show, the Flash game, that existed for a very short amount of time, had 13 episodes, aired in Canada and France, or it was French Canadian. And there's really not that much to it. But that's why I've decided to cover it, because it is so damn obscure and is so strange how little known this thing is. Lost media that no one is trying to find is almost more interesting to me. You know, lost media that was a mainstream thing, a semi-mainstream thing that just has become so forgotten over time to the point where there's just literally a handful of people still trying to find this, is really cool. Because I like shedding light on topics like that, because it sort of can help the person who's trying to find it, but it can also let people know that some lost media is just painful for the people trying to find it. It is that painful because it is that much harder to find something that's lost when nobody cares enough to find it. When nobody is that interested in looking for your piece of lost media that you really want to find from your childhood. Which sucks. It's the worst. It's the worst kind of lost media in my opinion. Yeah, I know exactly how that feels. So 13 episodes, 3 supposedly uncovered. In terms of the episodes, like I said, that's a copyright thing. I think they're copyright protected on YouTube, and I think they were taken down by a copyright block, and that's why I can't find them. And they were in French anyway. They were dubbed in French, unless the kids spoke French, and then it was dubbed in Canadian. I still have not. Do not clip me for that. Nobody clip me for that. Dubbed in English. That is quite possibly one of my most embarrassing moments on camera. I think I did that in a Lost Media special years ago where I said, and this is in Mexican, and I paused and put an edit in Spanish, you idiot. Yeah, that's worse. That's definitely worse. Those Canucks speaking Canadian. Why do they speak Canadian over there? Why can't they just speak English? You can't come back from stuff like that because we're recording a podcast. This is painful. That's probably not as bad as some other gas I'm going to have in the future. Yeah, so the Flash game you can see behind me. If anyone watching this for whatever reason remembers this, or, you know, figures out how they could be a mirrored domain where someone copied this and put it somewhere, please comment. Put it in the comments how this could be potentially found. Write how the show, there could be a DVD release somewhere of this show. Comment that you have a DVD of this show and you're willing to upload episodes to a private tracker, because don't upload them to YouTube, because then, my God, it'll just get taken down, obviously. Because we like finding lost media that is ridiculously obscure, that is just even harder to find because there's not thousands and thousands of people looking for it. I'm going to review in a couple days something that's lost that has thousands and thousands of people looking for it. But yeah, this is just one of those weird cases. I love the weird cases, but man, what do you say about this? There's nothing to it. Let's find it. Why not? The Flash game, the point and click adventure Flash game, and the TV show. 13 episodes need to be found. 15 reviews on IMDb. 15 ratings. Nobody remembers this. Nobody wants to find this. I think when it aired, it probably got 15,000 views on TV, considering there's 15 ratings. How did the person who suggested this, also me Hilly, how do you even remember this, bro? Like, probably the same person who wrote that post on the Lost Media forums about this. It's probably only one person looking for this, and that's you. Guys, we need to find this. I love the Lost Media that only one person's looking for. Because it's just as crazy and just as difficult to find. As I said, I'm just repeating myself. This has been the Lost Media podcast. So I've got more follow-ups. I've got a follow-up podcast coming up after this one. And I've got a lot more content coming up very soon, obviously. I'm trying to review newer things, of course. And just any Lost Media you guys want to suggest that I think is appropriate for me to look at on the podcast. Even if you suggest something, I still might research it over a long period of time. Yeah, like I said, try not to suggest it twice and bombard me with suggestions, because I'll just be like, okay, this person's being annoying. No, thank you. Not to be a jerk, but I think creators, they hate being pestered over and over to do by, comments about the exact same thing, because it's like, yeah, you're very lucky, also me hilly. That's all I'll say. You suggested this more than once, so you're very, very lucky, motherfucker. No, I love your suggestions, guys. I love it. I don't want to give you shit for getting worried that I'm not going to cover something and then commenting again. I've done that to other people in the past. I've done that recently to other people. That's a normal thing when you really want someone to cover something. Yeah. Keep suggesting, guys. Keep going. I want it. I want your suggestions. What is going on? This podcast needs to end.